Welcome to the DL Gaming Podcast. This episode, we're going to be talking about Avowed, Manifold Garden, Civ 7, and Steam-Headless. I don't know what it is, but I'm excited. First, my name is Christian.
I'm Bobby.
I'm Nick.
And I am recovering from our game night last night. I told myself, hey, I have to manage all these yahoos jumping in and out of Discord. I can't get too sloppy, but then I proceeded to get way too sloppy. But it was all fun and good. I don't think we went off the rails. We stayed on course and we kept the mission going, which was have fun with video games in our community. So it was good shit.
What did you all play? What was like the highlight of the night?
Oh, I would say Last Train to Wormtown was good because it was something new and very easy to pick up and play. Other than trying to figure out what the fuck we were supposed to do. Nobody played the tutorial, so we were kind of like lost. So the worm had his way with us for the first time. Then we learned how we were supposed to play, and I believe they're called pardoners. The humans are called pardoners. They won every time after that. So I think it's time for the worm to step up their game, you know?
In Tremors, do the worms win in the end? I still haven't seen it.
You know,
No,
it's
I have
funny.
to watch it.
I did tune in for the game night. I couldn't participate because I was at my girlfriend's house. Not going to be a problem pretty soon in the future here since we're moving in together. But the day that we had the game night, I actually finished the final Tremors movie. I've watched all the Tremors movies this month.
All like 14 of them and the spinoffs?
7 of them. And they get pretty rough by the end. But yeah, they kind of do. The Tremors kind of do win in the end, unfortunately. No spoilers there. But yeah. But Wormtown did look like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
This is the guy with no time, everybody. No time.
7 Tremors.
Watching 7th Tremors. Got it.
I have time for one thing, worms. Okay, we're going to ping things, which Emilio already did by bringing up game night. I'm going to say Steam Next Fest is coming around the corner. February 24th is when it started, or when it will start. Sorry, it'll have started by the time you hear this show. There's a little bit of a change to the format, so they're going to give you random games across all genres to start. Kind of like just a wheel that you spin in a way. And then after that, it will drill down into what your preferences are on Steam. So Next Fest will be completely curated to your interests. You'll be able to dive down into your specific niche of games you like, and your Next Fest will look completely different from someone else's Next Fest. This is like a pretty substantial change focused on some discoverability. I think it's probably good because a criticism Next Fest had was it's just like kind of a popularity contest. Like the games that had a bunch of wish lists, well, guess what? They're at the fucking top and everyone plays them because that's how it's sorted. So I'm excited to see how this one goes. I do have some humble suggestions, guys, for Valves. So let me know what you think. You get Steam points for playing a demo with under 1,000 followers. I think that's good. They're not using the Steam points as like a good carrot for Next Fest. Opportunity missed. An I'm Feeling Lucky button that downloads a random demo in the festival, including one of the many porn games. I think having that mix in there will make people click that button. I'm just saying.
What if it's a child?
Well, not for children, obviously.
If it's your 9-year-old son.
Yeah. Okay, never mind. Bad idea.
Playing hentai heroes for 13 hours straight. All right.
9-year-old? He needs it more than I do, man.
Yeah.
At 9.
Well, Bobby's going to bring up the Steam family sharing, and we can parents set those parental control
coming. Yeah.
A quest to play a demo from each of the Because You Love tags. So there is a section on Steam, kind of in this little weird menu corner that you might not have explored, called Because You Love. And these are the tags of your most played games on Steam, basically. So I think it would be cool to just directly know what those tags are from this festival. I think a lot of people probably haven't even clicked that button. Another way, I think you should be able to filter the festival with a popular to niche bar, which already exists in the interactive recommender button on Steam, which probably also people haven't clicked because it's right beside the Because You Love button. This one's really interesting. It's just a bar that you drag left and right, and it just widens and shortens the funnel. So really specific niche management games that I haven't even heard of is what pops up to me when I go niche. And then when I go popular, it's like Crusader Kings 3 and like all the ones that we already know. So I found that fascinating. And I think, yeah, have that for Next Fest. And then just branding Next Fest as like a festival of discoverability to encourage people to, I don't know. It's not about playing the most popular things. It's about finding the game that you didn't know you liked and having a great experience on a demo that previously didn't have any visibility. So I don't know. What do you guys think about those? My humble suggestions to Valve.
I mean, I think you got a couple sellers here, but I don't know if Valve is going to take a risk on some of those things.
Well, Steam Next Fest it's becoming my favorite part of Steam, really. Just and I like leaning into the discoverability of it because I'm always looking for that next Vampire Survivors, that next indie game that's going to blow up.
I like your suggestions, especially the random button. I think that'll really help with the discoverability. But I do like that they're leaning into it. That's awesome. It's really what it's all about, not the, like you said, popularity contest.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, Nick.
I was going to say it usually is like a kind of like a popularity contest, like a high school. It's like, hey, check out all these things that everybody's already noticed before. But yeah, I think a lot of stuff can get some more shine, especially something like I'm going to be talking about later on in the show. On the radar section, I found something that it seems it's right up Bobby's alley and Sniper's alley, so we'll check that out later.
Ooh,
for sure.
As far as my thing for pinging it, Avatar: The Last Airbender has been officially announced as the final set coming out for this year for Magic the Gathering. For those who don't know, we do have a Magic the Gathering podcast. It's called MTG on the DL. But we haven't put out episodes for the last 2 weeks because I'm dealing with some family stuff. Not bad stuff, good stuff, progressive stuff, nice stuff. And yeah, so anybody who's a Avatar: The Last Airbender fan, they're going to be bringing the universe and all this kind of stuff to Magic the Gathering. It's coming out, I believe, in November or in October. So yeah, come check that out.
Let me follow that up real quick. So they just announced a new TV show as well. That's slated after Legend of Korra. There's a new Avatar. I'm wondering if this is going to be a cross promotion. I wonder if there's going to be any of the new cards from the new show. I mean, characters from the new show in this, because the timing is lining up perfectly, I think. So I wouldn't mind
the release
that.
time for the show is next year.
Oh, is it? But still,
Yeah,
I mean,
apparently.
Like a little preview.
I think they're going to be doing that, but apparently the new show is like 1,000 years in the future after the apocalypse.
I'm
And
so
like
excited for it,
society
by
is
the way.
rebuilding, and there's no 4 nations. It's like the 8 winds or something like that. Like they've talked, like there was a bunch of leaks that came out like a couple months ago, and people were like, "This is crazy talk. This is not going to happen." All blah 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 blah. Everything was accurate. Everything was correct.
This is
it's gonna. Go ahead.
My favorite setting is the fractured Earth setting of the new Avatar. Floating islands that are fractured. I don't know what it is about it. I love it. I love when the islands float above the Earth and they're separated. I don't know what it's called. Is it island punk? I don't know.
I'll tell you right now, there's a magic plane for you, buddy. But go on.
I'm actually really hopeful for this because I don't think Legend of Korra gets enough attention. I thought it was a great series as well. Like everybody always focuses on Aang, but the second one was really good. So if they could keep it going, that's going to be fantastic.
Is there a franchise that Magic the Gathering hasn't plundered and disembodied for its
they're
own
going to keep
sick
plundering.
purposes?
We're going to see more plundering until it stops making money, and then we're going to see a regression in a very, very sad time like 2012.
Dude, we're getting 6 sets this year. It's too much for me. Like it all
But
came out
the
this
thing
week.
is,
Let's not get into it. Let's not get into it. We got
we'll talk about that in the other podcast. We'll talk about that.
But what do you think
Pretty
about
soon, it feels like this is all leading to an MTG Classic coming soon at some point. But yeah, this week I'm going to be talking about Steam family sharing. Now, we've hinted at this like in recent episodes. I've mentioned it briefly, this change coming to Steam family sharing, its conversion to Steam families. But I got into it this week. I figured it all out, and I'm going to try to lay it out for you nice and easy. So originally we had Steam family sharing, and we all used that. So Emilio and I had set it up, and basically it's like sharing your library with somebody. I put in like 100 hours of Slay the Spire and didn't even buy the game because I played it off of Emilio's account. But that's all gone now. You can't do that anymore. Instead, we now have Steam families. And Valve's idea is you can share your games between your family, but this works very differently than the old system. So in this new Steam Families version, you can have up to 6 people in there, and those people can be adults or children, and all their library is contributed to the family. So if you have 5 people, all those games on all 5 of those accounts are all in the library, and anybody can play them. If you are an adult, you have more privileges than a child, obviously. What's really strange is, so I created a Steam family with me and my girlfriend. I created it, added her, she accepted, but now she could even kick me out because she's added as an adult. She has the ability to kick me out. Not only that, if she's playing one of my games in the old Steam family sharing, I could say, you know what? I want to play that game. So I click play, and then a message pops up on her screen that says, hey, Bobby's playing this. You got 15 minutes to get off of this or it's going to close. That doesn't happen anymore. If she's playing one of my games, it just says, sorry, somebody's playing your game. You can't play it right now. So it's very different. But what comes along with this are a lot of parental controls, which I'm not sure we had before. Some really cool stuff. Now, I'm saying this as someone who is not a parent, but
the only non-parent on this podcast.
The only non-parent on this podcast, the least invested in these features, but they are really awesome. So you can limit the game time that the children have. You can say, like, you can only play between 5 p.m. and 10 p.m. on Saturday night or something like that. You can monitor how long they're playing. You can see when they're playing and what they're playing. You can also buy copies of games for them. So they can say, you know what, I want like Helldivers 2, and they put in a request that pops up for you. And rather than like having to give your kid the credit card or like do some weird thing to get the game on their account, like purchase it and gift it to them, you can just approve the request, pay for it, and it shows up on their account nice and easy. Now, one thing to be aware of, and this is kind of scary. Let's say a kid is playing your copy of a game and they get a VAC ban. That VAC ban applies to your account too. So
no way. Yeah. That's nuts.
Yeah. So be careful with that. And then here's one last thing I'm going to mention about this. If you kick someone out of the family, they can't join a different family for a year.
Wow.
They can rejoin your family again right away, no problem. But let's say mom and dad split up. We're going our separate ways. We're breaking up our Steam family.
Who gets the Steam library, bro?
What if that's how you find out you break up with your significant other, Bobby?
You have been removed.
She kicks you out of the Steam family, and you get home, and she's like, "We need to talk."
I mean, I still take all my games with me, so I'm coming out on top in that. In that breakup. But yeah, so, and they're still, Valve is figuring this out. So they just made this change. They've had messages popping up like in December and January saying, hey, this change is coming. And I noticed today when I went to use it, it had all changed. And I thought, wow, okay, so it's time to learn this new Steam Families thing. But they did mention that they're going to continue to evolve this and make changes as they go along to see what works best for everybody. But overall, like, we are losing the ability to just like hand out our library to everybody like we used to. But I think these changes are actually really good.
Yeah, I think it was being abused. There's whole Steam groups that all they do is join each other's Steam libraries with strangers. They do it through remote control or whatever. And so they could type in their password without giving their password out. And so, that's just abusive. But it's such a good thing. Good thing, another company could have just been like, no more sharing whatsoever. Question, Bobby, can you be in multiple families at once? Like my dad, he had many families.
No, you cannot. He's pretty monogamous. One user, one family.
All right. Well,
this isn't the polycule cannot join multiple.
I was good. Yeah, you used to have a very desirable library, Bobby, but like you're just not as. I don't know if we're going to make a partnership. Yeah, it's not going to. Our alliance is not as strong as it used to be.
Me and Rihanna have been using this for a couple months, and it's way simpler than the old family sharing system because it wasn't just that specific game, Bobby. It was if they played any game on your library, I would get a message kicking me out of their whole library. I believe maybe that's what they changed it to. And then the other thing is a lot of games, knowing that there is this abuse, could disable family sharing on their product. And so maybe now that family sharing is actually meant for families again, that can be re-put. I was trying to play Battle Bit, I think, and I was really excited. It's on Rand's account, and I couldn't play it. I was like, "Oh, family sharing disabled." But we're on a new family. We're doing the rules. Why? So it's those previous settings on maybe older games still exist, and would have to be updated.
And a lot of free-to-play games, and a lot of games with like third-party DRM, or where you have to go to like Ubisoft. A lot of those are excluded from Steam families, I've noticed as well.
Yeah.
Valve does such a good job of doing like sweeping new rules that just like, it's like systems, they put systems in place, but it seems like they've thought of all of the cascade of after effects for these sweeping systems that they're putting in play. They do such a good job with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I really like it. Now, if we're going to move on to highlights, I know I'm up next, but I'd like to pass my turn to someone else because I just talked for a while.
That sounds good. Nick, what's happening with Civ?
I can talk. So yeah, if for those who didn't get to listen to the Civ episode, this is going to be a more even in-depth kind of talking about my experience playing Civ. We had a whole Civ episode, I believe 2 episodes ago or 3, I can't remember. You can check that out. Me, Sniper, and Amanda talked about Civ, but really it was just a lot of excitement and not really deep dive into certain like negatives, I want to say. There's a lot of positives talking. So I finally completed a full Civ 7 campaign. I played a lot of the game in the sense of like I would start with a certain civilization at a certain difficulty. It'd be way too easy. I'd start with a certain civilization on a certain map. It became a slog. So eventually I found like the perfect mix of kind of the way I wanted to play. I played like the difficulty 4 out of 6. I can't remember what that's called. But there's 6 difficulties. Essentially it's a numbered system 1 through 6. But I played number 4. I played as Trung Truc, who is essentially like the proto-Vietnamese. And I did a military victory. Now, some things that I enjoyed playing about this game was I like the military system. Now your units don't level up. It's just the military leader that you have that levels up, which is actually very important and can be kind of broken. For example, the more you level up a military leader, they have these special abilities where your units can attack in one turn or do something called focus fire, where it increases how much damage your units do on a single target and they all get to attack at the same time. These things are nice developments as far as changes, but there needs to be a way to sort of balance them, only because you can field like 4 generals or 5 generals and just absolutely destroy with just 5 other units. You don't need to have like a huge army. Just the passive buffs that they give can be really devastating.
My hot take is that generals should reset every age. There's no reason to have a general.
No, because I had a level 17 general my last age.
It's
Need
crazy.
turn limits for
He
these
literally
generals.
had almost every single perk. It was insane. And now I want to talk about some of the actual true negatives. I know there's some people who like treat Civ with this idea of never buy a Civ in the first year it comes out, because it's not really developed and it's not really fully shined per se. I don't think that Civ should be like that. I don't think it should be viewed like that. But what my biggest gripe with this game is the diplomacy. Hands down, the diplomacy needs to be completely reworked. You can't bribe people. The amount of decisions that you can do are just really boring compared to older Civs. There's some Civ stuff from Total War that make more sense than this. You can't trade cities. You can't directly import things without building a trader, which doesn't make any sense because their traders just take things from you while you don't get any of the resources from them. Like denouncing is kind of bullshit. The way that improving your relations with other people is just one action. It's just literally one action to improve your relationship with any of the NPCs or anything. And it's literally just called reconcile. And that's it. That's the only thing you can do. So if you do something that pisses off one of your allies, all you can do is just click the reconcile button, and you have to wait another 15 turns to do it again. You can't bribe them. You can't give them money. You can't give them military units. You can't give them a city. You can't do a bunch of other things that you used to be able to in the other civs. And I'm not even a diplomacy player, but it's just really like, even I can say that it's fallen flat. It's not going to stop me from playing the game, but I'm pretty much done with it right now until like either one of my friends gets it and they want to play. But I have no plans to play even further. The other thing that is kind of broken in this game is I think they're called curios, or whatever. Essentially, they're these things that you can get every time you go through a playthrough, and you can earn them. And they're essentially a perk for your leader. And some of them can be really, really strong and immediately gain you an advantage as soon as you start playing in the game, even at later difficulties. For example, one of them is +1 science point for every general you have. And you can just start off the game like that. You just get four generals and boom, you're ahead of everybody else in science. And so the game has made major changes, and a lot of those major changes have been in a positive, but I really, really think that they should have maybe play tested this out with the public more and been like, hey, give us a little bit of feedback. I think the thing that may be proven that this system might work in the future is that the new Battlefield is coming out, and they're like, we are doing private betas with the public, and you can sign up for them and give us how you feel. I mean, give us your take on it, because we don't want this next Battlefield to fall flat. And if they did that with Civ, I think Civ would be even better than it is now, even if it just baked for like an extra 2 or 3 months with that play testing and the changes that people suggested, it would be better. But I'm not going to give it like a score out of like 100 or 10. I'm just going to say play again or not play again. I'm definitely going to play again, but I'm not going to play again until something major happens.
I would say that, like, I mean, Battlefield is giant too, although it's declining in popularity for sure. But Civ is such a massive game; they almost get their playtests not for free, but they can charge everybody $70 and get their playtest, because they know they're going to get those sales regardless, and then they'll just improve it the first year. I'm not saying they should do it that way, but it's one of those titles that has that ability. It's going to sell on the name alone, and then they'll fix it after they have the money in their bank accounts. That's the way I think they go about it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that is the case with the newest Battlefield. It's just that I can tell you right now, I played it for fucking 5 hours. I can tell you right now, I hate that game. The reason being is that they try to copy Call of Duty, they try to copy a couple of other games, and they try to do this thing called an operator system, where you choose an operator, you get a free weapon, and you get a free perk and a free something else, and that's not Battlefield. Battlefield is everybody's the same soldier, you have a different class, and it means you can either res somebody, give somebody ammo, repair a machine, or have an anti-tank weapon. That's it. That's the only thing that makes everybody different. And the fact that they were like, you get to be a lady with extra guns and she can slide farther and like use a paraglider. It's like, cool. Now everybody looks the same. Now everybody looks like, I mean, you can't have unique characters and have everybody play the unique characters, and there's like 30 of them on the map. It doesn't make any sense. And that's why Battlefield 2042 is one of the worst performing Battlefields. Battlefield 1 did better, Battlefield 5 did better, Battlefield 4 and 3 did better. It's just the playtesting. I know that like it's the whole too big to fail thing, but the way that Ubisoft is feeling about, or not Ubisoft, DICE is feeling about this next game, they're like, we really cannot fail. We really cannot have another Battlefield 2042 moment where we barely break even on the game. And it's just the way it is.
And maybe that'll come for Axis and 2K one day. I think community playtesting and open betas to test have resulted in like the most polished video games we've like Hades. How long was it in early access for? Basically, they were using that time.
Exactly. How long was Baldur's Gate in early access? For over 2 years. Yeah, they're treating the early access period as not just a time to finish the game, but as a time to iterate on feedback from the community. And I think games are complicated and they're difficult to make, and really complicated games probably need that. And Civ is
Civ is definitely one of those games. So yeah, I think I agree with you. Yeah, the diplomacy, kind of a slog, honestly. Like that whole system is like not fun. You just get these points that like end of game. I have like 20,000 influence points. I'm like, okay, what the fuck am I doing with this? Yeah,
and that's the reason why I wanted to talk about it again this week, was that like, hey, we talked about all these benefits and we didn't really go through the weeds of like the negatives. And I don't like shitting on stuff, but like these are things that need to change if you want to retain players. Because I know people that have played 25 hours, 30 hours of Civ 7 are like, and they're like, I'm going back to Civ 6. And I'm like, all right, like that. Yeah. That's just the way it is.
Oh, that was the other point I wanted to tell you, Nick. Civ 6's strongest standout point for me. It had a lot, but the diplomacy was the best in any Civ series ever. So I feel like you're coming from that to Civ 7 that has this bare bones, and you're like, what am I missing here? Whereas I'm coming from Civ 5 to Civ 7 mostly, and I'm like, oh, this is actually fine. Like this is what I'm used to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, cool.
So I am going to talk about Avowed. And Amanda's playing it and she is loving it and she can't wait to talk about it. But I'm going to just talk about my thoughts and then I'll just bounce off of her next week. If I'm on the show next week. So anyway, Avowed is an action first person RPG. It's very good. It's a lot of fun. It does a lot of tropes, like your ship crash and you're starting fresh on an island. Like how many video games have, and it doesn't matter. Like it's fucking still awesome. You know, I'm not in it there for the story. I'm just there for the action and the RPGing, and that is all a lot of fun. So there's no level scaling and there's no warnings about where you can't go. So it's very like a real place in that way. You go the wrong direction, and I did for about 2 hours. I was just trying to see what I could get away with, just going off in.
I do the same thing.
Yeah. And have you played this game, or you're talking about a different game?
No. I'm talking about like Fallout. I do not do.
Yeah.
And like when I play a new Fallout, they're like, go this way to go do whatever and save the town. I'm like, no, I'm just walking north.
Yeah.
I don't care if the most deadliest things are over there. I'm walking north.
And that's just the way I treat those playthrough of Skyrim. I remember I was like, here's the path. I'm going that way. And I just went another direction, you know? And so I got beat the shit out of me like all over the place. But I was able to kill I used all the resources I had, and I got an equipment. I got a gun that I think is out leveled for me. So I went back to the regular game and just destroyed everything. It was pretty. So my 2 hours were not completely wasted, is what I'm saying. And so there was some reward for the risk that I took. And there's just a sense of exploration in this game. There's hidden stuff everywhere. So, but it's not stuff that are going to make or break the game. It's just like little treasure chests. It's so video gamey. It's awesome. Every waterfall has a fucking treasure chest behind it, you know? Just where in the waterfall is it, you know? And so I'm jumping around. Like I said the other day, it has a lot of Borderlands. Like I'm jumping all around this city looking for treasure chests, and they're there too. And you can hear those who played Skyrim, a Nin root kind of sings, you know, that plant. It kind of has like a eerie musical.
Yeah, you can hear the tone that it makes. It's like,
yeah, any magical item or treasure chest makes that sound in this game. So you'll be able to hear something through the wall, and it's up to you to figure out how to get to it. It's like I said,
it's actually just tinnitus.
There's a lot of video game tropes, but it's done so well, and it's fun. Like these tropes have been here for a reason. It's just done really well. It's implemented well. So there's a good amount of comedy. I mean, it's not a comedy game, not even close, but people crack jokes the way they do in natural speech. And, you know, sometimes they land and sometimes they don't, but it's a good level of comedy. I like it. They did something interesting here where so I said it's not level scaling, right? But it's not your character level. Like the game doesn't care if you're level 5 or 6 or 7. It cares if your weapons are rare or magical or whatever. So it's if you take an underleveled gun or underleveled weapon into an area, your companion will tell you over and over. He's like, "Our shit's useless. Let's get out of here. Like we're way underleveled for this," and it's true. It's almost like not even worth the fight because they have like 90% defense over weapons that are under their level. So it's more about making sure your crafting is up and getting your equipment up to par. Doesn't matter how many bunny rabbits you kill, you're not going to be able to kill that bear unless you get a bigger spear, if that makes any sense. It's not really your level. I've never seen that before that I remember. It's an interesting way of doing it, but I think it's forcing people to interact with the tools that was given to you as far as leveling up your weapons. You don't make weapons, but you do level them up and make them stronger. So that's cool. Treasure maps are very like Skyrim, where there's a picture of something and it doesn't tell you where on the map it is, but once you see that area, you kind of like, you're like, oh, that's that thing in that map that I saw. And you try, this is my favorite kind of treasure map. I love when it's not an X on the map. It's, you're trying to recognize a thing in the world. And then when you do, it feels that much better. Let's see. Besides that, I guess it's not doing super well on Steam. It has like a 6 out of 10, which I definitely do not agree. I think this is probably like closer to an 8 out of 10. But they're saying that the NPCs and the city doesn't feel alive because nobody moves. It doesn't feel like an alive city or whatever. I'm like, dude, I live in a city. Fuck that part. Like, I'm all about the adventure, It's like,
who would have thought the guy who likes a Vampire Survivor game likes a game with that doesn't feel alive?
It's I don't know what to say about it, dude. It's just, I don't know how many times you're going to give me a sword, a shield, or whatever, and just an open world, and I'm just going to go out and enjoy it. It's like, it's very satisfying in that way. I'm playing I was going to go Ranger, and I'm like, fuck it, let me do something that I can't do in any other game. So I'm currently going shield and pistol. So I've never done that in a game before. I don't even think it's very good, but I can't do it in another game. So fuck it. Let me see what happens. Let's see. Yeah, anybody gonna be giving this a try other than me? And Amanda, what do you guys think? It's free on Game Pass.
I don't believe in Game Pass anymore.
Wow.
I've left the Church of Game Pass.
That was another thing about
where do you pray now?
The Church of I have kids. No, I'm kidding. No, I just found out that I did the math. I was literally paying $15 a month to play a game maybe once every like 3 months. It's just the way it was.
That's how they get you.
I think Bobby's probably right. Is like you should probably pay for it for a month that you're gonna play like one of these $70 titles. Play that game as long as you want, and then cancel the account every time. It's a little more work, but that's the best way to like save yourself some money.
I still have to play Starfield, bro. I still have to. I'm literally playing Mass Effect. Like, I'm so behind on any RPG that like Avowed is 25 years in the future, and the unique parts about it are, from what I can tell from what you've been talking about, the combat. But as far as like and the open world, but as far as like an immersive world where you can go through town and feel like you're a part of it, that's not really a selling point. So yeah,
that's not what I'm here for, really. The combat's fantastic. It's you're trying to CC one character while trying to work on another one while being pelted with guys with rocks from the cliffs, and it really hurts. And so you have to take all that into consideration and put yourself. Your positioning needs to be right. You have to use your companion in the correct order at the right times, and it's all in real time. So there's no planning it out. It's just abrupt chaos and figuring out the puzzle quickly.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So probably not.
So probably
if I
not
was going to
from
play
everybody.
this game, I would be a stealth archer, and I might as well be playing Skyrim probably. So, yeah.
I would say, of course, you're going to be compared to Skyrim. I would say there's a whole lot less dialogue, and there's a whole lot less looting. I mean, there is the looking around for shit, but there isn't the like miles of inventory that you get in Skyrim. There is some of that, but it's like 25% or 20% of what I remember in Skyrim, where I had 75 pieces of bread in my inventory.
I saw both of Bobby's eyebrows perk up at that. So
You had me at less dialogue.
yeah. Yeah.
You can pretty much just blow through all the dialogue if you want. Like, it's not, I don't find it important at all, really. You know, there's a mystery on the island, there's a plague, and you're there to stop it. That's pretty much it.
That's all we need to know. Bobby, you Marie Antoinetted Steam? Is that what? I don't know. That's a deep historical reference.
Yeah, so I'm not going to talk about a game this week. I'm actually going to talk about a tool called Steam-Headless. So what this does is allow you to play your Steam games in a web browser. It sounds better than it is because it doesn't work that well. But before I get into that, just let me explain a little bit about how this works. So you would install some software, log into Steam, configure a few things on one computer, or in my case, my NAS or my server that I run at home. And then you would connect to it with a cell phone, another computer, a tablet, whatever you want. You could connect to it and play the games. Now, the server is handling the workload, but you are streaming it to your cell phone or whatever device. It uses a combination of tools here. So Steam-Headless is basically the Debian Linux operating system with something called Sunshine installed. Sunshine is like that server software. And then it uses or the client software on your phone or whatever device to stream the game. That's called Moonlight. And it's very similar to Steam Link, which apparently is still around. Steam Link is still a thing, if you remember that. Same thing. You have your Steam server set up, which I think is just automatic in Steam. Steam Remote Play, they call it. And then you can install Steam Link on a mobile device and play your games there. Although the reviews are terrible and it doesn't seem to work very well. So I set this up, and I just cannot get it to run at a decent frame rate, unfortunately. And I tried really undemanding games, things like Slay the Spire, things where you just, card games where you don't need that high FPS or reaction time, and it is barely playable. So I did this on my server. I'm going to try it on my home PC, which is a lot more powerful, and maybe I didn't set up access to the video card right or something, but I think it's going to work better on that, and we'll see how that works. There's also a way where you can configure this to where it works across the internet. So this is designed to work just in the local area network, like when you're connected to your Wi-Fi at home, but there is a way to get it to work over the internet. So you could even be at work and just flip it up and start playing your games. Now, I believe Steam has a lot of built-in tools to already do this, remote play being that. And I think that works with the Steam Deck. They used to have, NVIDIA used to have the game stream, but I believe they got rid of that now. So there aren't as many options out there. And from what I've read, Sunshine and Moonlight and Steam-Headless is like the best performance you're going to get. But I know you guys play a lot with the Steam Deck. Do you use that to stream games from your PC while at home, or are you playing it directly off the Steam Deck, like installing the game on the Steam Deck?
All of the above, I think.
Bobby, you said a lot of words. Moonlight, Sunshine. I know what I've seen these words before, but I don't know in the context you're using them. It's all gibberish to me. And same when I start my Steam Deck. So I have it in a Steam dock that connects to my television. And as long as my game is open on my PC, I hit stream game. Now, whatever mountain or lake is used to run this in the back, I have no idea. Yeah. But it's that simple for me. Maybe I don't even want to theorize. I hit one button. I literally have no idea what
Okay.
happened.
So it sounds like you are streaming.
Starlight. That's Starlight.
Starlight, right?
Well, and Xbox has their own version of this as well, which I think you get with the Ultimate bundle of Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah.
I haven't tested that yet or played around with it. But one real advantage to this that I've noticed in the past, at least with using the remote play, is there are a lot of games that don't run on Mac OS. So if I'm on my Mac, I can still play those games if it's streaming from my Windows PC.
Mm-hmm.
And that works pretty well. I think this Steam-Headless thing, I know it was all very technical and kind of a jumble of words there. I don't think it's anything that I would really like rave about just yet. The whole thing I was trying to accomplish was setting up Steam on my server so I could play Steam whenever, wherever, on anything like that has a web browser, basically. But it looks like we're just not there yet, folks. Like, we don't have the technology yet.
Put the head back on, Marie. Time to eat the cake. Cool. I played Manifold Garden, which is a first-person gravity manipulating puzzle game. I think it came out in 2020. So it is a blast from the past. And I was looking for like a casual game that I could play on the Steam Deck when I don't have time for Civ. And I was yearning for a really good puzzle game. I think the last really awesome puzzle game I played was Baba Is You or Baba For You. I think that was, I can't quite remember what the title of that game was. Baba for something. This game, it's so hard to explain because it blew my mind. So I was expecting something like Superliminal where, the perspective of the puzzle from your first person perspective is important to solving the puzzle so you can move forward. They did that whole thing where you're moving around that way. But this does something different where you're manipulating the gravity of like a Rubik's Cube that you're in the center of. And so the first three puzzles, you're in one room and I'm moving the walls around. I'm getting the key to move to the button and it's going pretty smoothly. I'm like, okay, I think I get it. I think I get this. And then I finish that last of those three puzzles and I go outside to a skyscraper and I'm like, oh, what's this? And they're all around me. There's just infinite skyscrapers. Like I'm looking at a mirror in an elevator. As far as the eye can see skyscrapers. And I go, okay, are these all the puzzles that I have to complete or what's going on here? Clearly marked is my objective right across the skyscraper opposite of me, which is I can see where this key is, but there's a giant gap in between. So I have this cube that I have to put in this other key. And I'm like, okay, how do I jump? It's too big to jump. I manipulate the gravity on the skyscraper. So I'm on the side of the skyscraper, which is now the floor. And I jump down so that I'm falling into the next skyscraper, which used to be across the way from me. If it seems confusing, it confused me too at the time. I got a little like nauseous playing this game. I was playing it on the Steam Deck pretty close late at night, and I was left triggering and right triggering the gravity, and I was like, ugh, I don't feel so good. Spinning, not a good trick. So I fell into this other skyscraper, except I missed it. I'm moving like centimeters. I need to be moving meter sticks, basically. So I pass 4 or 5 skyscrapers before I finally fall on one. And I'm like, oh, shit, I have to figure out a way to get to the other one. And I'm looking around and I realized that this is the skyscraper I just came from. And I went inside and I realized all the puzzles that I completed were still completed. And then I go, okay, wait. Is the infinity of the skyscrapers part of the puzzle? So I fall again with the key. I fall and I fall and I fall until I get to the next skyscraper, 7 or 8 skyscrapers down, and I put the key in the slot and I go, oh my God, this is so cool. They just expanded the Rubik's Cube to a little bit bigger. And that's basically what this game is doing. When you think you figured out the dimensions that you're playing in, it throws you into an even bigger thing with more gravity to control. And it made my mind grow. I felt like I was playing Big Brain Academy on Nintendo Switch or something. I felt so smart every puzzle that I completed. And it's in this beautiful art style, like just black and white lines. And then the side of the gravity you're on will be colored so you can kind of keep track where you are. So like, okay, that side was green, this side is purple, because up, right, down, 90 degrees, 45 degrees, eventually 15 degrees when you get to all the types of gravity that there are to play with, is very confusing to keep track of. So this is a great game if you're in the mood for a fun little puzzle that will rapidly make your brain grow. And I just wanted to know, what is everyone's favorite puzzle game like this, like a simple puzzle game that brings them deep satisfaction? It could be anything from Sudoku to something on Steam, but I'm going to start with Emilio. What's your favorite?
I'm going to reject your question and talk about what I want to talk about, which is a game I think you'll really enjoy.
Okay.
Bobby, what is that puzzle game that you played that had to do with like cities metro system? Was it called Metro? Like
You don't think I've played Mini Metro? You don't think I've
Mini
played
Metro? That was
You
the
don't
one.
think I've played Mini Metro?
Okay.
What universe do you exist in where you don't think I know about this game and have leveled up all the cities, gotten all the achievements, put like 45 hours into Mini Metro? Yeah.
Okay, never mind then.
Yeah, I've been there.
I guess I'll go with Puzzle Fighter because it has Street Fighter characters in it.
All right,
Jesus
Bobby, what
Christ.
about your favorite puzzle?
There's a lot of great puzzle games out there, but I'm going to use this opportunity to shout out one that I think is criminally overlooked. It's called Line with a Y, Lyne. The game is on sale for $1.19 right now. It's a very simple, basic puzzle game, but extremely enjoyable. Highly recommend it.
Cool.
I think
All
that's
right.
maybe what I was thinking about too.
Yeah, sure.
Anyway.
Okay. Yeah. All right, Nick. What's your favorite puzzle game?
I mean, it can be seen as a puzzle game. Is definitely Portal 2.
Yeah.
One of the greatest puzzle games of all time. Really takes the puzzle and puts it in people's hands, and I think that's why it was so popular. Was that people are like, I'm playing a first-person shooter, and then they're playing it, and they're like, I'm playing a puzzle game, but it's a first-person shooter.
Yeah, it's
And
a
so
way to
that's why
trick
people liked
people. Yeah, the bait and
Yeah.
switch. And when I was
Wait a
playing
second.
this game,
I'm learning.
wow, when I was playing this game, it reminded me a lot of Portal in the first bit, and I was like, oh man, they just kind of copied Portal. That sucks. And then I was like, oh no, they didn't. Now they're doing something else pretty cool. They built on this idea. So yeah, Manifold Garden. If you're interested, I bought it on Steam for just a couple bucks. I think $4 or $5 Canadian. That must be pennies in American currency.
If you haven't played Portal 2 co-op, it's probably the best 2-player co-op game ever made. I think it's the best
You will
experience.
fight, and you will make up.
Yeah.
Trust
It's
me.
so good. It's so well done.
I played that one on acid with like 6 people, and it took us like 12 hours to beat. And then we looked up the time to beat, and it was like 3.5 hours or 4. Like, it's not a long game. We were like, oh shit.
It
Okay,
has to
moving.
do that to you.
Yeah, we felt so smart too, laughing the whole time. Yeah, on the radar.
She's
So
a potato.
we're moving on to games that we haven't played but have caught our attention. And Bobby, please start us off on this exciting announcement.
Monster Train 2. I can't believe this hasn't come up before. I had to double check and make sure we haven't talked about this on the radar before, and I'm pretty sure we haven't. But Warconius, one of our very active community members, posted something about it in Discord, and apparently there's even a playable demo out of it. Like, this has been out for a while and we just didn't know. So Monster Train 2, just like the original Monster Train, is a roguelike card battler where you can combine 2 types of decks. It's a little more complex than your standard card battler. So what's new in this one? Well, there's new clans, enemies, challenges, and modes, and new types of cards. So they have these things called room cards where you buff your train, basically. So when you're playing this card battler, you have this environment. You're on a train, and the enemies move up to different levels of these trains, and you have to defend this thing at the top of the train. So it sounds like you have cards that now can not only buff your characters that are fighting, but like the actual train itself, which the first one kind of had. I remember you could get something where it was like thorns or something. So every time the characters move, they took a little bit of damage or something like that. So maybe it'll be a little more down that line. There's also equipment cards, which you can apply to units, and it gives them a variety of bonuses. It sounds pretty standard, but apparently that's a new type of card. The gameplay looks the same, the graphics look the same, and this kind of just brings me back to the whole Monster Train versus Slay the Spire. So I've flip-flopped on this a lot. I was 100% Monster Train is the better game in that camp for a while. Then Christian brought up Slay the Spire, and I started getting back into that, and I thought, you know what? I enjoy the simplicity. It's very straightforward. I think this might be the better game. Plus, I have more hours in Slay the Spire, so surely it must be the better game. But now I think I'm going back. I think it's Monster Train. So the reason I have so many hours in Slay the Spire is it's much slower than Monster Train. Monster Train's like action packed. This is not your dad's card battler. All right. There's a lot going on. Things are moving quick. It's more complex with the multiple levels. The enemies have positioning, so that affects your attacks. And you can combine these two different deck types and find all these really cool synergies. And also what's more important, I feel like in Monster Train, I can really build the deck that I want. Like I can really find those synergies and craft the deck. When I play Slay the Spire, I feel like I'm always getting these cards that I don't want and not quite getting the ones that I do want. And I'm just making the best with what I have. That's kind of frustrating in a way. They're still both really great games, but I'm leaning towards Monster Train now. And I'm really looking forward to Monster Train 2. No release date yet, but the demo is out. So I'll definitely be checking that out this week.
Now, Bobby, your heritage is Italian, right?
Yes.
That checks out. World War I, allies, Entente couldn't make up their mind. Monster Train, Slay the Spire. Where do your true allegiances lie, dude? When Slay the Spire 2 comes out, I'm just gonna put my money on it. You might swing back the other way.
Yeah.
So when I was playing a lot of Slay the Spire, I beat it. Well, quote beat. I beat it with every character. And I think Emilio bought me Monster Train or gifted it to me, or maybe Rianne. But anyways, I've been playing a lot of Monster Train, and I kind of agree with you. I love Monster Train. I think it's the better game, and yet I've spent so much more time on Slay the Spire, like it's not even close. So I'm excited for Monster Train 2 as well.
Yeah, Bobby puts it well, though. I mean, maybe it's just a slower paced game, and that's why you put so much more time into it. That's a really astute observation.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to talk about Magic the Gathering some more, guys, but it's going to be quick. It's a quick pitch. Okay, maybe not that quick. Final Fantasy set has come out. I'm saying this on this podcast because there are so many Final Fantasy fans, and maybe this is how you get into it. How do you get into it? This is what you do. You buy the you can't get these Final Fantasy cards, man. It is fucking rough to get the good stuff. But you can get the starter kit. Starter kit is only $22. What you get with the starter kit is you get a Cloud deck and you get a Sephiroth deck. And I mean, that's all you need. That's all you need. And you could just start playing Magic the Gathering. The whole deck is Final Fantasy cards. It also has some regular Magic cards, but for the most part, you're going to get everything you want. You'll learn how to play Magic. You'll get your Final Fantasy fix. $22. That's it. All you need is another person.
I swear to God, dude. In like 2 months from now on MTG on the DL, Nick's gonna be like, the Teletubby Magic the Gathering crossover.
Hell yeah,
drop.
Binky all the way, dude.
Oinky doinky, you could be him.
Yeah, they're going hard with the IPs, but this, just like the CEO said, he's like, we've never sold so many Magic cards ever. Like, it's hard to pull away from this when it's all sold out instantly. They're just crushing it over there. They're printing money at this point. I think there's going to be ramifications later on, but again, we have another podcast for that kind of talk. I do want to talk about the fan service in case you're on the fence. There's characters like the Moogles, there's Chocobos, there's the Summon Shiva card. And I like the fan service as far as like the characters. So from Final Fantasy 1, Garland is a boss. It's the first boss you fight, and 10 minutes into the game, and then after 30 hours you fight him in his final form, which is Chaos. And so this is a double-sided card. He has his Garland form, which is weaker, and then he has his chaotic form that you bring back at the end of the game, and he's much stronger. So I love when cards play out, like Cecil, Dark Knight, Redeemed Paladin. So he's very powerful early on, and he hurts you when you use him. But once you go below half your starting life total, he transforms and redeems itself and becomes a paladin, starts to heal you. Same card, you flip it over, and that's the whole storyline of Final Fantasy II. This paladin redeeming himself from becoming a dark knight. So love that stuff. The cloud cards, generally, it's all about, big swords and shit. So it's right on brand for him. So anyway, hopefully I'm going to get a couple of you guys to try Magic Together with that pitch.
So just to clarify something, because old man yells at cloud sometimes, literally and figuratively in this one. Joke, Final Fantasy joke. It's set is not out. It doesn't come out until June 13th. You can pre-order shit. Yeah, however, some of the pre-orders are not even directly from Wizards of the Coast. So when you buy from Amazon, it might say it's from Wizards of the Coast, but it's actually just the brand, not the vendor for it. So official pre-orders, I believe, are out for partners, but for like normal people, it's still a bitch to get. There is MSRP on this stuff, and it's already being sold at almost double MSRP. So be careful where you buy. They may be fake cards, they may be fake things. So just look out and be smart when you buy stuff like this.
For the Teletubbies deck, Nunu, who is the vacuum cleaner, by the way, has two forms, Sucky Wucky and Parked in the Corner. And that's his storyline throughout
you
the
can
deck.
Fuck right off, Christian.
Be new. All right. Nick, what do you got for a typing game?
Yeah, I told you, dude. I told you to get you a little wee hard. So it's called Blood Typers. It's a horror.
I didn't like that. I'm sorry.
It's called Blood Typers. It's a typing game where you get to play multiple characters that have different stats. And it's a horror game. You can play with up to 4 people. There's like weapons and stuff that you can pick up on the ground. You can examine areas and eat food, and everything you do, you have to type to do. So for example, to be able to move in the game, there'll be like a word in the corner and it'd be like Remulad. And you have to type out the word Remulad to be able to move to that corner. But like, it's all live and it's all moving, and you can increase the pace of how everything's moving and everything, and like how little time you have in between your actions. And it's not a stop and go game. Like, it's very much like run away from the zombies by typing like football, and then like turn around and then like type whatever words are on there to be able to either attack with the melee weapon or a ranged weapon and things like that. And it's got a 95 on Steam, and it's $9. So
this seems
Bobby
awesome,
and Sniper,
dude.
It does.
yeah, you guys should definitely stream this game together or something, or I don't know. This seems like a very interesting game to play because it's so niche. It only has a all-time peak high of 402 players, which is sad because this seems like something that took a long time and a lot of work. And deserves more love, in my opinion.
It's about to be 403.
Hell yeah, brother.
Do you guys remember in school, did you ever do like those typing games? So basic, by the way. Like, you typed in and then like your character would like jump up a block, and it was like, very simple 2D graphics. And now we have Blood Typers, intense zombie survival typing game. Yeah. I do believe I have the fastest words per minute on the podcast, though. I think we found that out a couple
Did we
of
prove
episodes
that? I think we did, right? It was very close. Bobby's very quick. I hope it has a child setting for me, because I bang my ham-fisted on the keyboard and see what comes out. So I need very like right there where there's just a big E. It says push E. That's what I need right there.
Yeah. Push any button.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool, Nick. What a great find.
Yeah, good find.
Yeah. I like I said, I originally going to talk about Assassin's Creed because it comes out next month, but nobody really gives a fuck about that. Yeah, just I was like, I saw this. I was just like looking through all the what's selling right now just to see if there's anything interesting, and this came up, and I was like, oh, this is a Bobby and Sniper game immediately. And
hey, Bobby, just a sidebar real quick. The next Yakuza game is a pirate game. Is there any interest from you there?
I've never played a Yakuza game, but
I don't think any of us have.
Yeah. Quick note on that Blood Typer game. This is from the same developer that made Organ Quarter. I don't know if you guys remember this, but when we were asking, I think we had a VR episode, and we were asking people about their favorite VR games, and one of our listeners, Nyanko, mentioned this game, Organ Quarter, and we all kind of squirmed at the gameplay on this. But they are the same developers that made Blood Typer.
Interesting.
They love their blood.
Yeah.
Real quick, Dune Awakening had some great news over the weekend. So a release date confirmed for May 20th. If you don't know what Dune Awakening is, it is like this desert power MMO. Half of it is played with your squad in like a private base. The other half is played in this open world PvP zone. And it is a universe in which Paul Atreides has never been born. So that is kind of the pitch of why there is still this war going on in Arrakis between the Harkonnen and the Atreides. They released okay. That's fine. I take that. Character creator and benchmark mode. So they released this early. I tried it just before the podcast. This is so smart to get buy-in for people. You make your character before the MMO launches. You know that's something that a lot of people spend a lot of time on. So why not do that before? It saves your character for launch. You're already bought in. It's on your Steam profile. It's on your Steam games. Like you're pretty much there to make a purchasing. So smart. And then the benchmark to see if you can actually run the game and how it's going to look for you. I got high on my Titan XP at 4K. So I feel like this game is going to be working for a lot of people just fine. Yeah.
Nice.
The character creator starts on a backstory where you get Gonjabard. That's like, only an animal will remove their hand from the bucket. Not exactly, but you know what I'm going for. And so it buys you into the story. You get to pick your backstory. It's not just like the visualness of a character creator. So I'm so hyped. I know Nick, I think, is hyped to play this game. Do I have buy-in?
Hell yeah, brother.
Emilio, Bobby, do we got two boy?
I'm going to shave my head.
Maybe.
I'm going to shave my head, get a flesh-colored sleeping bag, and be like, my Arrakis, and just take over the whole planet.
Yeah, it's a definite maybe for me. I may have to buy this game because it is excluded from Steam's family sharing service, apparently. Not one of those. But that is a genius move to let you do the character design before the game comes out. That's like...
Yeah, it gets you in the mood.
Why didn't anyone think of that before?
Somebody has. It's been done once before. It was a garbage game, but somebody did it.
Okay.
What is the Saints Row? Saints Row? Is
Saints
that a
Row?
game?
Yeah.
So Saints
it's a game
Row,
series.
like Saints Row 5 or whatever. The last one that they did, they put out the character creator first, and you can make your character. And I was like, why is this free? And I played it, and I was like, oh, I see what it is. And you could run. I think you can run around a little bit. But there's no game. And then the game came out, and I was like, oh, I didn't think it was genius then. But when these guys do it, it seems genius.
Yeah.
I think there's a little more hype for Dune Awakening than
Hey,
Saints
calm
Row
down,
5.
dude. This is Saints Row.
Well, what Nick was saying earlier about beta testing, this game has been tested by the community for like 7 or 8 months. Like they're not just releasing this shit. Like it has been iterative developed process, which I think everyone wants to see in their MMO. No one wants the first day MMO test to be after you've purchased it for $80. You're really excited to play with your friends. And then it's like, oh, this game still needs 6 months. Like what a mood kill, Yeah. So, okay.
Christian.
Yeah.
Sorry. The gameplay real quick. So you have, is it a little bit like Valheim, but when you go out, there's other people out there?
Yeah. So it's got survival crafting mechanics. So it is like Valheim in that way. But it's a multi-threaded server PvP zone in the deep desert. So the sands will shift and the terrain will change every so often. And you will connect to that and fight other clans in that area. But your home base won't be able to be raided, from my understanding. It is kind of like a safety point for you to build and store resources.
Interesting.
Yes. From my understanding, it is like the wilderness in RuneScape, if anyone knows what that is. It's essentially where like
that's where you get your girlfriends,
that
bro.
Area. Hell yeah, brother. That's where I get my runes and my bitches. What do you call it? What it is like that's the play for keeps area. That is where you go to fight other players and fight other high level mobs and get really cool shit. But if you die, you lose everything that you had on you. Meanwhile, your house and everything that's outside of the wilderness, or whatever you want to call it for this game, is your safe zone, like Sniper said.
Yeah, the Division had something like that as well, I believe.
Yeah, the zone.
Dark zones.
That's what it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the dark zones.
I'm into
Cool.
it. Amanda's into it. Taylor's into it. Bobby's a maybe.
I will not play with any of you guys. I don't play MMO with you guys.
What?
After the New World occurrence, no MMO with you guys. Also, Valheim, no Valheim with you guys.
What?
You guys are the worst. I come back, there's a goddamn mega city in my backyard after not playing for 2 hours.
Yeah, Sniper will go crazy. But that's why you have that thing. Didn't you
That's
have an
why I have
agreement
my
with
rule.
your friends?
Yes.
Yeah. You can't
play
work
it like
on
D
it
and D. Yes, we all play at the same time once a week.
That's
the way you do it.
We can't even
okay.
do this
I agree to
podcast
that.
one time at the same
I will
time.
play with you now.
Okay.
No, we do that for Project Zomboid unless the only thing you cannot do is that you cannot make changes to the house as an individual. Like if you want to go out and go get food and go level up your wood cutting, by all means go ahead. But you cannot like build a second house and then like machine gun turrets on it or anything like that. Like it is very much you like we all play at the same time, like you said, like that rule that you have.
Nick, I'm a little offended that you are counting us out so quick. What can we do to curry your favor? How can we get you on board? You know, I'm willing to make sacrifices.
I'm gonna need a free copy of the game. Okay, I'm gonna need a 4K webcam, and I'm gonna need an interview with the developers of the game, as well as I need an interview with what's his name, the Timothée Chalamet. Okay, I want to interview with him.
Okay, I'll add these to your very long list. I'm sure we'll get to them eventually.
Add them to my writer with the green M&Ms.
Subs and donos, Emilio. What do we got?
I have no idea. All right, here we go. Taylor is his DL-versary. He's been around for 8 years. Is this right? Can this be right?
He's been a mod for 8 years, and now he's our community manager, and we should celebrate.
He's also the first listener I've ever met in person, I believe. Yeah, he was the first one to come to San Diego and meet us.
Oh, I want him to be a first for me in some area. Oh, he's the first person I saw wearing the classic DLG shirt with like that's bright pink and is like the 80s theme.
That's the Barry edition, by the way.
It's
one
of the greatest shirts.
It's one of the best shirts. If you want to know what we're talking about, go to dlgaming.net, click on merch. It'll take you to our T Public affiliate, and you can basically put our name on any of their shirts. And one of theirs used to be Barry. I don't think they have it anymore, but look for the tri-blend, as Bobby says. Good shirts over there. We reworked our Patreon rewards. So, not huge difference, but yeah, there's a couple of things here. At $5, you get a shout out, a green name, periodic NSFW access. You get to check out the show notes early. You get to help us build the show by going onto the supporters page and vote for stuff that actually changes how we are. We might even get rid of Nick if enough of you vote on that.
Please relieve me of these shackles.
After 3 months, you get some stickers. After a year, you can make us play this game, whatever game you want. And we also have a $15 and $25 roll, but I'll go over those next week. And it's time for listener questions.
Listener questions. All right. And you can ask these in our Discord. If we missed yours, be sure to let us know. We get a lot of them, but we do a pretty good job of getting to all of them. All right. First one is from Old Man Dave. This is an answer to a question you guys asked a few weeks back about what order to watch Star Wars. So this is his answer. Clone Wars first, so they get attached to Anakin. Then Episode 4, so they can get mad at Vader for supposedly killing Anakin. Then Episode 5 and blow their mind that Vader is Anakin. Then go 1, 2, 3. When they get to 3, your kid will be like, wait, there's another Skywalker? Then Episode 6 to close it out, since there's no benefit to watching the last trilogy. Wow. No love for the sequel trilogy.
I like it. I like the strategy. I don't think I'll do it because it's more difficult than just pushing play on like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But yeah, I mean, there's a through line there for sure.
I don't get the 1, 2, 3. Wait, there's another Skywalker. What's
I think he meant
must be 4, 5, 6.
4, 5, 6. I think is what he meant.
Must be.
But we've already watched. Old man Dave, none of this makes sense. You've been too
You're
creative.
all over the place. Yeah, what we need is a fan edit here, and they're out there. Like, there's a million Star Wars fan edits. The one that everybody talks about but nobody has seen is the one that Topher Grace did and showed it at a festival, but for legal reasons couldn't distribute it. But that one supposedly combines all the movies and cuts out, like, I guess, some of the more needless stuff, but it all makes sense and kind of rearranges it a little bit. It was apparently very impressive, but would love to find a bootleg of that. But yeah, I feel like there's a master cut of the Skywalker saga out there that could be really cool. But as far as kids go, now the Clone Wars or the prequel trilogy was intended for kids, at least the first one was. So that's why I was like, maybe that's the one to start them with.
Yeah, it could be. But graphically, it's rough now. Like, I was just putting on some like basic educational stuff for Luna this morning. I was like, graphics on here are awesome. Like, CGI has come a long way since the Clone Wars. I don't know. It's pretty sparse, dude. It's like playing Left 4 Dead 1.
Yeah. No, you're telling me, dude. I watched Tremors 1 through 7. I saw the evolution.
Hey, pitch me 7 real quick, dude. Like, what's going on?
Oh boy, can I spoil some stuff?
Yeah,
does anyone care?
No
Okay.
one.
All right.
You're speaking to zero.
So, okay. 7 is not good. It's got Napoleon Dynamite in it. The only thing that's memorable about it is Burt Gummer, the gun nut from the first movie, dies at the end. So Michael Gross, the guy who plays Burt Gummer, he is stuck through the franchise throughout the entire franchise. He's in every single movie. He's been the through line through it all. So that was a little emotional at the end to see that. But other than that, absolutely nothing worth watching in that one. The surprise hit in the Tremors movie is actually number 4, the Old West one. Yeah. Pretty crazy. All right, next question. By the way, guys, check me out, letterboxd.com. Look for Robert Digital. I'll be posting my Tremors in order of best to worst on there. Don't want to miss that. Very controversial. Love to hear your take. All right, next question from J. Beck Quest. As a relatively new listener, I'm very curious about DLG history. What is the DLG origin story? How has it changed and evolved over the years? How have the viewership numbers evolved? And how would you describe the health of present day DLG? It's a big question.
Yeah,
Wow.
I guess I'll take it. Bobby and I, when we met very quickly, usually when you meet other gamers, you're like, I used to be like, what do you play? And they usually say like Call of Duty on Xbox. And you're like, all right, you roll your eyes. And I did the same thing with Bobby, and he was like, we don't play the same kind of games, dude. Like he was already undercutting me, He's like, I play on PC, things like Team Fortress Classic. And I was like, that's what I'm playing right now, dude, basically.
PC gamers were a little more rare back then.
Yeah. And we hit it off right away as far as gaming goes. I mean, we were playing all of the same stuff pretty much. And so we became friends off of that, blah, blah, blah. And PC Gamer had a podcast, and they stopped doing it. We were both avid listeners of that podcast, and they quit abruptly out of nowhere. And there wasn't another one. And I was so into podcasts. I've been very early adopter since Rogan #1. I was like listening. And so I was like, hey man, why don't we start one? And by that, I mean, you do all the technical stuff and I'll show up drunk and make an ass out of myself. Not much of that has changed except for Christian's doing a lot of technical stuff these days. And yeah, that's the origin of how it was just me and him. And I wanted Chad as a producer. I was like, you're not supposed to talk. You're just on the computer, like doing the 1s and 2s. And then that lasted 1 episode. And he was on the episode after that I think he was on 2 or 3 from there on.
Yeah. And Chad was your roommate at the time. He worked at Sony. He big gamer as well. But yeah, he wanted to jump in the conversation. And we had like one mic in the early days, and we'd like huddle around it and yell into it. I think those episodes you can still find them. But I think a huge turning point for us was around 2016 when Discord came around. That's when it really became a community. Like first we were just shouting into the void, and every now and then we'd get like a Steam message or an email or something and be like, wow, that's cool, somebody's listening. But then when we had Discord, and people could join that and we could interact with people. And then we started recording the shows live in Discord and a Discord channel, and people could just join that and listen to the live recording. Like that's when I think it really started to change and build momentum.
And there's also quite a few casters, right? There was Chi and Ray and Minnie.
Del Macho.
Am I missing anyone? Any Blue Force ghosts that I... No, that was everyone,
I think
right?
those are the past ones. Yeah. And then of course we, Christian, Nick, and Days. Yeah.
I was originally a guest because they were like, Emilio was like, I have a dumb cousin that plays dumb nephew that plays DayZ. And everyone's talking about it. So let's get him on the podcast. And then eventually it just came around more and more. And they were like, all right, man, you're going to have to start filling out notes and start paying dividends into the lockers of the DLG coffers. And so, yeah, that's where I'm at now.
I mean, we could sit here all day and just tell like the history of DLG, but I feel like that would make some good Patreon content.
Patreon content.
Yeah. Like a special episode. Because if you're a patron, then you'd appreciate that. And there's a lot to tell. There's a lot of DLG history here. A lot of, some ups, some downs, some highs, some lows. But yeah, I feel like that would be a good story to tell for those.
And I got to give a special thanks to Albert. I would be remiss not to mention him. He was a big part of the show.
And who was Albert, Emilio?
He was like our proto-Christian. He was on the 1s and 2s, and he was virtually our producer. And he did a lot of graphic work for us and stuff, but he's no longer with us. And that was a hard blow to take.
Yeah,
when we found out.
Yep.
Yeah, he was a guy that we would play Smite with. And then he started taking on some responsibilities with the podcast too after a while in the early days.
Yeah. He was our first listener, I think. Him or Zaya.
Yeah. When we first started this, of course, the first people we hit up was our friends and told them to listen to this, listen to our podcast like everyone was doing back in like 2013. But yeah. And so they gave us some helpful feedback.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
It's crazy. This has been going on for so long that, and I've met all you guys through here, and you've met me, and it just might, Albert's no longer with us. One day Emilio won't be with us. One day Bobby won't be with us. And I feel like it's just such a special thing to do together. Honestly, I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Yep.
Right.
Bobby,
let's bottle that up. Let's edit that, and that's Patreon content.
And Jay Beck, what might be of interest to you and anyone interested in the history before the Patreon episode comes out is Bobby did a really good review through the different intro musics that the show has had. Was that at the end of 2023, Bobby, or 2024?
That I think
early 2024.
Was that our 5-year anniversary?
No,
at 10, I think.
10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, our 10-year anniversary. Yeah, if you go on, it was during December. I remember we released it because we had to like bank some content, and I think that was 2023, December of 2023.
Great episode, like really. Obviously,
and
Bobby
short,
did it
like,
short. Yeah, well edited, right to the point of just what he's trying to get across. Yeah, it was.
Put that shit up behind the
maybe
paywall
if
too.
we can find it, we can link it in the show notes on this episode. But yeah, that'd be a good one to check out.
Yeah.
All right. We've got a few questions here from Warconius. First one is in the theme with last week's question. Do you know why they don't make cheese from the milk of more mammals, like donkey cheese or whale milk cheese? Human cheese would be weird. Your margarita pizza topped with cheese from Chef Margarita. Ew, gross. Playing Cult of the Lamb, and you can make some really strange dishes. Are there any other games that you can think of that have crazy food mechanics?
A lot of things were said there.
Like
imagine the first guy that tried goats or cow's milk. Even that, we don't find it weird now, but like the first guy who ever tried it, his friends definitely made fun of him, dude, for sure. Don't you think?
No, what? Babies are eating milk
so?
from the breast, and they see the cow, and they're like, "Well, might as well."
No, dude. First guy that tried it he was an outcast.
He was a pervert
Loser.
for sure. He's like, see that cow titty? I'm gonna fucking suck that thing.
If you're starving, people would do some weird things.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the game where you I don't know if I ever played it, but it might have been on the radar at some point, and I don't know if anyone on the podcast played it. But it was a game where you like chopped up people and then served them at a restaurant. Like,
That's a bit strange.
Yeah. And it was like a simulator game, right?
Yeah,
And you had
it
to
was like
keep
a
the
restaurant
people from finding
management
out.
game.
Yeah, I don't think we ever played it.
Yeah, it was like
That's
on the
a weird
radar
one.
like years ago. I'll have to dig
Yeah.
that one up.
There's like a pot with a hand sticking out of it or whatever. I don't know why I thought about this first. It was Monster Hunter. When that came to the PC, it was a big thing. And when the cooking was like this huge, the pageantry behind, there was these 3 cats that cook like a whole, every time you wanted to make a special meal, it was like this whole like 15-second animation, 20-second animation about the preparation and it's all a huge thing. I found it very boring, but the dishes were very intricate.
For Enshrouded, I'm sure other games do this, but I noticed that you could eat the food within a window of like the chicken is slightly brown to like almost burnt. And the time you hold it over the fire cooks it to different levels. Purely for aesthetic reasons. I don't know. I just thought that was a neat addition they probably did not need to add at all. But my chicken is browning, and then all of a sudden it's like a charred piece of rock that is like a resource for another thing. But the process of seeing it browning is very satisfying. Cooking my hot dog in Enshrouded.
Hell yeah. For me, definitely Project Zomboid. You can just, so as time goes on and electricity gets turned off, you begin to lose access to fresh food unless you grow it in like a farm or you hunt or trap things, right? But if you are a certain level of cooking, you can start cooking with rotten foods and reduce the chance of getting sick with them and things like that. And so you could put like a rotten piece of cake with like a bunch of other things and like just make these complete horrid amalgamations of calories and just eat them. And you're like, I just ate 4,000 calories of fat and my character's now going to be satiated for a day and a half because of this. It's just the wildest cooking system.
It's like Bobby was saying, it's like when you're starving, you'll do just about anything, right?
Yeah. All right, folks. I think I found the game here. I think it is Ravenous Devils, which came out in 2022. That's the one. It's kind of a Sweeney Todd type deal where you're running a restaurant and sometimes the patrons mysteriously disappear and end up in the food. I
How's
don't
the
know.
reviews on that, Bobby?
Reviews are very positive, but there's not many of them. So it could be good.
92% with 8,000 reviews? Is this
a lot.
we got it? Do I have to check this out? I don't know. That seems high for
Seems
a
pretty
eating
good.
people simulator. Yeah. Cool.
All right. Next question from Warconius. With Final Fantasy VII Rebirth's strong PC sales proving that platform exclusivity may no longer be as lucrative as before, do you think the traditional console exclusive model is becoming obsolete for AAA games? Or is there still a strategic advantage to timed exclusivity in an era where PC ports seem to guarantee long-term revenue?
What do you think, Nick?
So yeah, this is more of a me question. So as someone who plays console exclusives, like I just was playing God of War 2 last night because we're trying to finish it before Leslie leaves for California. I think the idea of console exclusivity is starting to be eroded. I don't think you're going to get rid of consoles. I don't think you're going to get rid of console exclusives. But I think the idea of just pure console exclusives is going away. I think the idea of release God of War 3 on PS5 or PS6 when it comes out, and then release the game 6 months later on PC. I think that's going to become the new norm. I'm perfectly okay with that. I was telling Leslie last night while playing God of War 2, I'm like, the game is so optimized for the PlayStation that the experience of playing it on here and not having to worry about changing any like settings or like it's literally just plug and play outweighs the possible slight 10% or 5% performance upgrade of me playing it on my PC, right? But then again, I have to adjust all these features, I have to adjust all these graphic settings and everything like that. For that even to just happen, it does pay off. What is interesting is that Microsoft announced that all of their exclusives are coming to PlayStation. The Master Chief Collection, all of the Gears of Wars, everything is coming to PlayStation. And the reason being is that they're like, we're getting out of the console game. We're making more money on game subscriptions, and we want to put out better games. And to be able to do that, we can't worry about exclusivity. And so I mean, I admire that. And I think that the idea of the Switch being the mobile platform, and now the PS5 being, or the PS6 or whatever, when it comes out, being the home platform, is perfectly fine. And then if you want to be a little bit extra, you do PC gaming. But the world has changed. There's way more PC gaming players than when Emilio was playing and Bobby were playing. You know, they were just talking about how they were the only two in all of San Jose to fucking play Team Fortress. And it's just, I think the gaming world is changing for the better as far as exclusives go. But I don't think we're ever going to see the erosion of console exclusives, even if they're just timed.
Yeah, I tend to agree with all of that, except for Nintendo. Nintendo's never going to open up their games.
Never.
And they have no reason to. They're just going to keep Nintendoing, and that's fine with, I think, everybody.
I saw the amount of money that they make on like just the Mario IP alone, and it's just insanity. Like, it'll keep any normal gaming company afloat for decades. Like, they do not have to worry about porting their shit to PC, like, to make money. And the other thing is that their culture is different. They do not rely on an infinite growth culture. Their Japanese offices have to tell the American offices to shut the fuck up and change their culture, else they don't get along. Like, they do not work together well, because we have this dumb capitalistic idea of infinite growth, infinite change and all these things, which doesn't work with the Japanese idea of work culture and profits and things like that. Now, granted, do they have their own problems with work culture over there, working 20 hours a day? Sure. But the idea of infinite growth is not a thing there.
Yeah, there's a famous story in 2013. CEO of Nintendo took half his salary, and all the executives split their salaries in half so that they wouldn't have any more layoffs, because they're like, laying off our workforce isn't going to create better games. It's going to create worse games and save the company when they were in a dark spot. Imagine that happening here, dude. It would never happen here.
It would definitely be.
That totally reminds me. I grabbed an audio book last week, and I haven't started it yet, but it's called Disrupting the Game, From the Bronx to the Top of Nintendo, and it's by Reggie Fils-Aimé, the COO of Nintendo, the American division. Used to be. We all know Reggie. I mean, he's always at the Game Awards and everything like that. But yeah, I didn't realize that he had a book out, so I'm excited to listen to that.
Oh, cool.
All right.
I think there's a market. Sorry, real quick. I think there's a market for indie consoles. And I know that sounds very strange, but do you guys remember when that Playdate came out? It was right before COVID. And so they were subject to like huge logistical challenge getting their chips and everything when all supply chains were fucked around the world. But it's this indie portable console where only games work on the Playdate because it had that special arm that came out that rotated. They had like little fishing games, and they use it as a mechanic to run. It's like a fun.
Oh, yeah. I wanted that. Yeah.
I wanted that too. Just a fun experiment to play these little games on. And I feel like with console exclusivity becoming less important, there is space to have some sort of exclusive experience on handheld devices, or even another console player coming up and filling a niche that isn't being served with something like really specific. So in 10 years, mark this episode, maybe we'll see an unknown console enter the market and have exclusive games that are really fun. Yep.
All right. Okay, final question is from Warconius. He asks, if we somehow brought video game ragdoll physics into real life, which body part do you think would cause the most chaos in everyday situations?
Well, ragdoll, I mean, everybody's normal in ragdoll physics until they're shot, right? Or like are unconscious. So I think sleeping sleeping would be the worst. You just slide out of bed all the time, dude.
Or you would like glitch out and
yeah, you glitch out and just by making a bunch of noise on the wall.
The Gary's Mod collision sound.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a leading question, like he wants us to mention one specific body part, but we're not going to
mention it.
That type of
I didn't like
podcast.
when you said it earlier. I didn't like the word you decided.
That's not what we do here at DLG.
Yeah.
All right. I guess that's an episode. What's everybody playing next week?
Avowed.
Spending time with my wife's simulator before she leaves for 2 months and I don't see her again. So.
Heard the reviews are good on that.
Wait, how would you know?
Seriously, I'm going to be playing. Ooh, no, but really, I will be playing more. Apparently, the Baldur's Gate deals. The last add-on for that is coming out soonish. So if it comes out, I'll be playing that. If not, I'll be playing more Project Zomboid.
Okay.
I usually plan my gaming out so well, and I have no idea. I said Civ last week, negged on the promise. I don't know. The world's my oyster. It could be anything. Hopefully more Civ, but we'll see what has time.
All right.
And there's a good chance I may be checking out Blood Typer.
Cool. Maybe Christian will join us since he's...
Yeah, why don't you play with that with Christian?
His oyster.
Yeah, it does have online co-op. So yeah.
Okay.
4-player co-op.
Let's try, Bobby. Let's shoot for the stars, and
let's play that with the company dollar, okay? Let's get a little freaky with the money. Let's put a little $9 out for Canadians.
All right, Nick, you're shutting this down.
Everybody, thank you for listening this week. We appreciate everything. Please go to dlggaming.net to see everything about us, our secondary podcast, MTG on the DL, our newest new podcast, aka Marriage on the DL, with Sniper hosting. You can also see our Discord there. Join us, message us, anything you want to do. Also check us out on Patreon. This last bit that we're listening out to here is the theme song from Avowed.
Titties.
I don't want to shit on this. It's just not hitting. It's not hitting me the same way for some reason.
Yeah, but while you're playing, there's definitely some really nice Fallout ish feeling when you're going. Just the background music. It's very good.
I'll take your word
Unless
for it.
I hear, "Hey everybody, there's a new man in town. His name's Butcher Pete."